but I'd like to bring up Ben Alarie, who is the CEO and co-founder of BlueJ, also a leading tax expert related to, in particular around tax research, a lot of AI background, degrees from University of Toronto and Yale. And I also want to note that BlueJ is a partner that we've identified as we're trying to help firms transform their tax practice. That's what we do here at CPA.com, is help firms utilize these technologies. And we've been in partnership with BlueJ for the past 6 months. And Ben's going to share with us a little bit about what he's seeing right now. We've got a very interesting discussion coming up here on how the paradigm is shifting with these new tools related to tax research. So welcome, Ben.
Thanks, Eric. It's a pleasure to be here.
So, just looking, and I actually, as we were kicking off today's town hall, I was thinking about this Tax Act, which is about 900 pages. And the CARES Act was roughly the same size. And I remember that, and Mark, you and I back in March of 2020, and we're there reading it, and we got all other people reading it, and things would have been different. And then, Ben, you and I were talking this morning, or not this morning, yesterday, about how firms approached the 2017 Tax Act. So we said, let's just look at this. Let's just look at how the Tax Act of 2017 was approached, even how the CARES Act was approached. And on this chart here, we've outlined in some ways how mid-sized to large firms functioned and smaller firms function. So Ben, I know you've been doing this for a decade plus, so you were familiar with what happened in 17. So I'll let you just kind of comment on some of the points highlighted in this slide, and also provide more color. Then we'll have Mark Koziel add some reflections.
Yeah, look, Eric, I remember feeling so frustrated in 2017. The Tax Cuts and Jobs Act gets passed, and everybody's craving clarity about what does this mean for my clients? I need more details. How's this actually going to function? And all the firms, mid-sized, large firms, small firms, were scrambling to try to make sense out of what this means. We saw with a lot of the larger firms scrambling, the experts to focus on the dimensions of the TCJA that they were expert in, writing up kind of guidance and putting together ultimately decks at a lot of firms that would get circulated by email to all the tax professionals at those large firms. Often, like on a weekly basis, you could expect in your inbox a 60 or 70 or 80 or longer slide deck outlining the latest and greatest position on various dimensions of that bill. And it led to a lot of unread slide decks surrounding all of the stuff. It was just too much for everybody to keep up with. You don't have time in your week to read all of this stuff. And smaller firms just didn't have those same resources, so they weren't sending around all this guidance on what's changing and how to cope with it. Instead, they were looking to experts to guide them. And we've got a bullet here about third-party online in-person training. AICPA played a big role, of course, in that process. What everybody had in common was really experiencing the pain of coming up to speed on what all of this means. And this is in so many ways very similar to, I think, what we're seeing this time around, except there's something very different this time, which is we have new tools, new tax research tools that are going to be allowing folks to get up to speed much more quickly on the latest and greatest with respect to whatever dimensions of curiosity they have with respect to the changed law. And a nice example is, thinking about client outreach. So everybody has clients who are considering, well, what does this mean for me? Now you can leverage this new tax research technology to very quickly get a very reduced kind of synopsis of what it means for particular clients, and you can get that out to them right away, show that you have their back, you're thinking about them, you have them in mind, and engage with them and provide them with the information as you get it. to reassure them. So it's very exciting, but I don't know. People have short memories sometimes for the pain associated with this stuff. I just want to like reopen these wounds for everybody from 2017 and remind everybody just how painful it was to go through that process of figuring out what all this means.
Well, Ben, I mean, I can look at it in some ways also as a positive here. Right now, we've had 600 questions come in. So many specific questions. I almost wish, in some ways, right now with a lot of these questions, we would just have it because some of them are very specific. They're very client focused, and we actually could answer them real time with one of these modern AI, Gen AI tools that have already uploaded the entire bill, already have the extensive research, the IRS tax code in there. It's game changing, and I think this is the modern way to digest this information. It's just a better way. I mean, and if you look at just the evolution of tax over the past 40 years, it's just gotten better and better. So this is the next. The firms need to know the high level information. They need to help guide and put the right attributes of questions in, like they're doing today, like they're doing right now in this town hall, Mark Koziel. So I think this is you can think about the pain of the past, but this is actually an opportunity to be proactive, to be a trusted advisor, and to get ahead of things, Mark.
Absolutely. I think it is the game changer. And Ben, I know you have mentioned, just the uptick that you've seen in the number of inquiries just over the last couple of days of what's happening. And that's going to continue on. To have real-time, hands-on information, I think, is going to be a little more comforting for our members to be able to do that on a regular basis, and to be able to very specifically say, I have this client in this situation, and be able to get answers around that. And it is now truly, we've talked about becoming that trusted advisor. You are now that trusted advisor. It is here. You have the ability and the tools to do it. Now is the time to proactively take it with your client.
Right. So, and Ben, we got some, clients, some questions coming in. Hey, clients can use some of these AI tools. Yes, they can, but there's professional, tax-focused research tools. And what you're going to be doing with your clients, and I do think it's changing. I mean, it's not necessary for maybe the small firms to go to 2 8-hour courses per se, versus leveraging a tool and then looking at how they augment and leverage that tool to do these client memos, to have these initial discussions in the top 5 maybe impacts for their client, and then have further advisory discussions with them. And this is,
Eric,
go ahead, Mark.
Yeah, full well. I mean, you say that the client can use the same tool. Yeah, great. Client can also do their own tax return in TurboTax. And many of our members have come to benefit and realize that once the client starts to go down that path of really not having that technical professional background, got them into bigger trouble than it did actually solving the problem. And so the idea of the trusted advisor still will not go away, even if these tools are accessible. There's still that analysis and that understanding that is absolutely necessary. It's not about the tool, it's about the knowledge.
Mark, 100% agree. It's like, I mean, there was Google before. This now is at a form where and we're hearing this, and Ben, and the reason why it is about capabilities, and it is about understanding the bits and bytes of the tax bill, but it's a combination of the two. So Ben, yesterday I know was the highest, search day that you've experienced. So it is happening. I mean, this movement's happening. I think probably 10% of the firms right now are leveraging tools like this. So it's still just the early adopters.
Yeah, and what's really interesting, I mean, building on what you've each said, increasingly what we're seeing is folks have a screen open and they're using these kinds of tools while they're on the phone with a client. A client calls up with a question about what's in the new tax act, and they're leveraging these tools in real time. Instead of saying, hey, let me look into that, I'll get back to you next week or whenever they're able to, they will do the research in real time, generate an answer, quickly skim it, verify that it's accurate, and they're able to deliver incredible answers in real time to the clients. And so, Mark, this is building on the dimension of what you were saying, which is you need to have that expert kind of be that middle layer to interpret the results coming out of these kinds of tools to provide to the client. And the client can log into ChatGPT, but it doesn't have like all of the bill, and it's not been properly curated and formatted. And so the specialized tools are going to really thrive in this environment.
To that point, Ben, I mean, so the client calls up and says, hey, am I eligible for this Section 174 deduction? And then all of a sudden, should I retro that, or should I just go forward with it? Those are all the pieces that we're going to come into play on this, and that's the value add again.
100%.
So more to come on this. In the AICPA and CPA.com. So what are we doing? We want to put together training that helps you leverage these tools more effectively. There are, and we just spoke agnostically about this, there are other tax research tools out there. We're on the field here. We want to learn about these tools. We've got a special discount program, a special pricing for AICPA members here that you can have access to. This is the great equalizer for firms of all sizes. The small firm can utilize this service just like a top 20 firm can. So that's the exciting thing in the onboarding of these services, of these tax research tools, is very straightforward and very easy. I mean, Ben, you can be up and running in 24 hours, or you can be up and running in 2 hours.
Yeah, totally. And the time to value is instant. If you know how to formulate your tax research question, you can get value out of these tools immediately.
So we've got an 8-page, research best practice paper here, which is agnostic, but we did it with Blue Jay, and then if you can access their program, and there are other solution programs out there as well. So Ben, it was great having you with us today. As I said, we've got hundreds of questions coming in, some good questions here related to this service, and we'll be following up with you and your team on this. But thanks for your partnership and helping. I mean, maybe a final comment. I know the profession is very important to you. Just maybe a little bit about your career and what you've done, kind of helping practitioners.
Yeah, thanks very much for having me, Eric and Mark. It's been a pleasure.